Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, this Wednesday edition. Brian Fisher is my name. I had a couple of more things from that column on global warming and how it would be beneficial if it were happening. It's not, but if it were happening, this piece by Matt Ridley, look, even if global temperatures went up by 2.2 degrees centigrade this century, which is beyond what even the most optimistic or most pessimistic global warmers would say, it would be good. Fewer people would die because more people die in the winter than they do in the summer. Cold hits the poor harder than the rich for the obvious reason that they cannot afford heating. And then this benefit from the increase in carbon dioxide. I mean, this has been the panic that we're getting from global warmers, how much CO2 we're pumping into the air. Now, it is true that we have increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the air from 3 parts per million or billion, whatever it is, 0.03% of the air is carbon dioxide at the beginning of the century. Now it's 0.04%, so 4 billionths or whatever of what it is today. So it's just a minuscule component of the atmosphere. Water vapor is the biggest greenhouse gas, like 95% of greenhouse gases consist of water vapor. But carbon dioxide is plant food. It's not a pollutant, it's plant food. So the more CO2 there is in the air, the better it is for plants. And, you know, that's what they do in greenhouses is they actually pump CO2 into these greenhouses to make stuff grow fastest because it is plant food. Here is a Dr. Ranga Maineni of Boston University. He has documented using 3 decades of satellite data, 31% of the global vegetated area of the planet has become greener and just 3% has become less green. This translates into a 14% increase in productivity of ecosystems and has been observed in all vegetation types. In fact, he goes on to say, I won't take time to get into it, but he actually says that this alternative energy stuff that we have pursued, that's what's killing people. Here's a scholar by the name of Goklani, and he's examining the impact of all these things, and he says, look, there are probably 200,000 people who die every year because we are turning 5% of the world's grain crop into gasoline, motor fuel, instead of food. They're starving to death because we're putting their food into people's gas tanks. So actually alternative energy is the thing that is actually out there killing people. Now, let's grab clip number 12. One of the things that environmentalists are fond of doing is advocating for a carbon tax. They want to tax carbon emissions to try to reduce the amount of carbon that's belched into the environment. And remember, CO2 is good. It's good for the planet. It's good for growing things, good for agriculture, and therefore it is good for people. Contributes absolutely negligible amount to global warming, but it's good for plant growth, and we eat plants, so it's good for us. Now, here's James Hansen. He's with NASA. He's one of the big-time global warming hystericists that we've had, and he has an interesting take here. He's actually against a carbon tax with the tax being sent to the government, and he sounds like a conservative when he talks about why he's opposed to a carbon tax.
An important point is that such legislation, I think, needs to be introduced by conservatives because I'm afraid liberals will try to take part of the money to make the government bigger.
So this guy's a liberal, and he says, look, if we impose a carbon tax, all we're going to get out of that is bigger government. So don't send it, whatever you do, if you put this tax, do not send it to the government. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. I want to talk a little bit about some of the latest developments in Obamacare. And as you might, oh, by the way, just before I jump into that, we are probably headed to the coldest opening day for spring in 50 years. That's your catastrophic global warming alert for today. We are going to have the coldest, this is the official opening day of spring, March 21st. It's going to be the coldest March 21st we have had in 50 years. One other problem with these alternative sources of energy, remember I talked about that solar farm, it's like 5 square miles of solar panels, and how it was frying birds. I mean, birds would get up near the top of these towers where all this heat is directed, and it just incinerates them. It fries them to a crisp. Well, now those same solar panels are creating problems for pilots because of the blinding glare that comes from that thermal facility. It's called Ivanpah. It's in Nevada, and it's a problem because it's under a major air transportation route from Las Vegas to Southern California. These pilots are flying across. There's 173,500 large mirrors there, and it's creating a blinding glare for pilots that are flying through there. So that's what's going on with alternative energy. Now, with the what's going on with healthcare, let's grab clip number 2. This is Jay Carney. And I'll look at the details here in just a second, but the reality is with all that we've done with Obamacare, remember this whole thing was designed to get insurance to people that didn't have it. When the whole Obamacare thing started, President Obama was out there. We got over 30 million uninsured people. We got to get those people insured. They went to the insurance companies. If we order everybody to buy insurance, that's 32 million new customers for you. It's going to be a bonanza for you as a health insurance company. Now we're discovering that the reality is that less than 1 million people who have insurance under Obamacare were previously uninsured. Number is about 700,000. So we have completely destroyed and trashed the best healthcare system in the world to insure 700,000 people. And the AP, which is not a conservative media outlet, they estimate that at a minimum, 4.7 million people had their insurance canceled. So 4.7 million people lost their insurance. Only 700,000 people who were previously uninsured now have insurance. The thing is a total absolute debacle and disaster. Here is Jay Carney, clip number 2, and he is being asked, well, look, how many people have actually signed up under Obamacare? And we know it's a dismal number, only 700,000 that didn't have insurance before. We know that, but the White House doesn't want to admit it. Here's what Jay Carney said. How many people have actually signed up and gotten insurance under Obamacare?
CMS is working to provide more detailed data on who has already paid their premiums, what percentage of the population of enrollees that includes. We can point you to major insurers who have placed that figure at 80%, give or take, depending on the insurer. But we don't have specific data that is, in a reliable enough form to provide.
So we don't have specific data. Now here's a piece by Avik Roy, Forbes.com. He makes the point of the 3.3 million people that the White House has touted as Obamacare exchange signups, less than 500,000 are actual uninsured people who have actually gained health coverage. Now, the White House is saying that's up to 5 million, but even at that, if the numbers, the percentages was the same, only 14% of the people that are signing up are previously uninsured. That means that only 700,000 people who were previously uninsured have actually gotten insurance through Obamacare. So we've trashed our healthcare system for 700,000 people. It would have been cheaper just to go out and buy them insurance. McKinsey, the leading management consulting firm, has been conducting monthly surveys of the exchange-eligible population under the auspices of its Center for U.S. Health System Reform. Of the Obamacare signups, only 27% had been previously uninsured in 2013, and of the 27%, nearly half had yet to pay a premium. That's how you get to the 14% that are actually insured and weren't before. 27% of the people that enrolled didn't have insurance previously, but only half of those people have even bothered to pay their premiums, so they are not insured as of today. And when McKinsey asked people, why didn't you sign up, they said the reason is that I could not afford it. So remember, President Obama kept saying, we're going to bend the cost curve downward. We're going to make insurance affordable for all Americans. And nearly half of them, 48%, said, hey, the reason I didn't buy it is I just can't afford it. Now here is CBS, clip 3. Listen to what the media is doing. They're just ignoring all this reliable hard data that I gave you because they are in the tank for Obama. They're part of the press office of the Obama administration. They're pulling for him. They're cheerleading for him. And this is how bad their coverage is. Let's listen.
This morning, the White House is closer to a crucial goal ahead of a key deadline for the health care law. As of yesterday, 5 million people are now enrolled for either state or federal insurance. The administration's goal is 6 million. The open enrollment deadline is March 31st. The White House continues trying to reach young Americans. It just unveiled March Madness-style brackets called the 16 Sweetest Reasons to Get Covered. Last week, President Obama appeared in an online video with comedian Zach Galifianakis.
So the CBS saying, hey, they're closing in on their goal. The goal wasn't 6 million. Remember Kathleen Sebelius, success looks like 7 million people signed up. They've got 5 million, according to the White House, that are enrolled. Doesn't mean people that have paid their premiums. Doesn't mean people that are insured. The actual number who've actually insured is probably between 3 and 4 million. And most of those people had insurance before. So they're not getting new insurance for the first time. Here's a story from Daily Caller indicating that premiums are rising faster under Obamacare than they did for the 8 prior years. Remember, Obama talked all the time in selling this is going to bend the cost curve downward. But Daily Caller, health insurance premiums have risen more after Obamacare than the average premium increases over the 8 years before it became law. The individual market for health insurance has seen premiums rise by 39% since February of 2014. Between 2005 and 2013, average premiums for individual plans increased 37%. So before Obama was going to bend the cost curve downward, premiums for individual plans went up 37% over 9 years. Now they've gone up 39% just in the last year alone, going up by more in the last year than in the previous 8 years combined. So much for bending the cost curve downward. And remember, premium's only part of the deal. You got out-of-pocket costs of co-pays and deductibles going through the roof, so the cost of insurance way up. Focal Point, AFR Talk.